Hi everyone, I'm Lisa Maria Hernandez, and this time around I'm going to explain why this study is considered as qualitative research. Well, first off, we have here the word uptake. We're talking about the male and female students uptake, which it gives this resemblance of meaning of finding out facts and things that correspond to a qualitative research kind of intake. Now, what is the uptake in responding to oral corrective feedback? If we see the abstract, this study clarifies in the second sentence that this study is actually qualitative and that this use a case study design, which means that this study is trying to verify whether a hypothesis or a method is working or actually works in a certain context. This study is trying to see the uptake, the meaning, the reaction from male and to female students over oral corrective feedback. So this is actually a case study design. Now, here the method again clarifies that this is a qualitative research, and because we're seeing here a social problem, a social issue, something that can't be interpreted by numbers. Now, the method that they used was observation. It was a non-participant observation, and a part of the observation is that it was prolonged, which means that the engagement towards the culture, the understanding of the culture was necessary for the interpretation of the data. This belongs again to a qualitative research because quantitative approaches do not need to understand any culture behind numbers. The second stage of this research was to classify hypotheses and see what's working, what does not fit to the data. Now, the third stage of this activity, the verifying of the data, is the clarifying the research bias. This is very important, or a huge hint that this research is actually qualitative because quantitative research does not have any bias because numbers are just plain objective. This does have any sort of discrimination of predisposition towards anything. It's just numbers which shows facts. And in this study clarifies that needs to clarify the research bias. Now, the classification of the steps of our analysis was done on three parts from a qualitative interactive model by Miles and Humberman. And the result is here. We have here a chart with numbers. This is the simplification of the data. This does not mean that this research is quantitative because it has numbers. No, this is the simplification of the data because the researchers were collecting data from experience, and lower down it explains exactly the sample that leads to this conclusion, this simplification on this chart. However, when you see the conclusions, there is no numbers. The conclusions that this study leads have no numbers, but an interpretation and a conclusion from the gathered data during the research.